absolutely gorgeous fall day here in Kansas City as we welcome you back to Arrowhead. It wasn't the best day for the Giants on Monday when their head coach Tom Coughlin challenged their pride, but on Wednesday it was a whole new mindset for this team. Why? Because Coughlin actually played an old Michael Jordan commercial for the team. You know the one he says where he's missed 9,000 shots, he's lost about 300 games. He said, guys, you have to succeed in order to fail, and that's what this Giants team is hoping to do today.
All right, Aaron, thanks. Here's Quinton Dents on the opening kick return, who's been terrific so far this year, but he's going to come up just a little shy of the 20, and here comes this Kansas City offense onto the field with quarterback Alex Smith.
You look at Alex Smith, you see that record. The guy knows how to win, and he does because he protects the football, Kevin, while in the confines of the system still making a ton of plays, playing really good football here in Kansas City.
You see that win percentage. Manning is the only one. Peyton Manning better. Tom Brady is behind Alex Smith. That'll give you an idea of what this guy has done. And so the Chiefs will start out with a 1st and 10. And here is Jamal Charles on the first carry of game. And he gets across the 20-yard line for a short gain on 1st down. Pickup of 3. This Chiefs offense has the rookie #1 overall pick Eric Fisher on the right side. Jeff Schwartz filling in at left guard for the injured Jeff Allen.
You see, it all starts with Jamal Charles, the multi-talented halfback. The Chiefs say it, the Giants say it. We'll see if they can stop him.
The Chiefs going with a quick tempo and 5 wide receivers on 2nd down. Smith going to take off and run. And he's going to get up about a yard shy of the 1st down. Antrel Roll came over to make the stop after a 6-yard gain. Well, this Giants defense has given up a ton of points. They're allowing over 38 points per game. Looking for more pass rush from Pierre Paul and Tuck up front.
And this is a linebacker crew that, frankly, there's only one way you can put it. They've struggled. And they've struggled in the back end as well, missing Corey Webster, their starting corner. Aaron Ross fills in for him.
3rd and 1 as Arrowhead Stadium is unbelievably quiet right now. It's McCluster who comes in motion. Blitz picked up. Smith has the 1st down. It's McCluster across the 35. Antrel Roll made the stop, but a 1st down for Kansas City.
Well, the New York Giants on the 3rd and short situation bring the pressure, and Alex Smith does a great job of finding the matchup he likes. Dexter McCluster, a guy who Alex Smith says he's enjoyed working with tremendously against the safety Antrel Roll. 1st down, Chiefs.
And the Chiefs trying to up the tempo on this first drive. They split Jamal Charles out to the bottom of your screen. Justin Tuck was telling us yesterday, you got to watch these first 15 plays. They will mix it up, and they're doing that early. 4-man rush, plenty of time, and it's dropped. Donnie Avery, who had a monster game against Philadelphia last week, can't make that play. Couple of big players not in today's game because of injury. The Giants are missing their starting center in David Boss and their all-pro guard in Chris Nee and starting corner Corey Webster. Brandon Flowers for the Chiefs is their best cover corner. That'll be very interesting to see how they match up against these Giant wide receivers. Here's David Deal. He is able to play today, coming back from the thumb injury. Here's Jamal Charles, who gets to the 41 on that carry. He's going to pick up 4. Justin Tuck on the tackle.
Well, Justin Tuck is a guy that, I don't know, Kev, we met with him yesterday. He seemed extremely motivated. They've been called out by their coach. They know that when the Giants are successful, it starts up front on the defensive side of the ball. Look for him and Jason Pierre-Paul. They've been challenged. Like Tom Coughlin said, it's time to show up.
A 3rd and 6, and again the 5 wide receiver set with Jamal Charles lined up all the way at the top of your screen. Smith tipped at the line and incomplete. And he had Charles on the cross too, but nicely done by Mark Herzlich, who got a hand on it, and Kansas City will punt it away.
Well, if you aren't getting pressure with your front 4, go ahead and bring some pressure. The Giants have done it a couple times here early, and you're going to see Herzlich come on the blitz to the right side of the Chiefs. Get that arm up. Nice job by Herzlich. The Giants off the field on 3rd down.
Dustin Colquitt will punt it away. It's Ruben Randall as Justin Tuck in some pain. That is obviously of some concern. Giants training staff will work on him. Booming kick by Colquitt. And Randall's going to take it at the 5. Gets a couple blocks. Ruben Randall with the speed. There's a penalty, a couple of them now on the field, so this one may be coming back. Good looking return from Ruben Randall, but the initial penalty flag is back at the 15, and that may be coming all the way back.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 69. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
It's on Justin Trotto, and the Giants will have their opening possession deep in their own territory.
See Justin Trotto right there on Sherman. Officials get it right.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Opening possession for the Giants, who come off the worst loss in the Tom Coughlin history. 38-0 to Carolina last week. Backed up here on a first down. And they throw a quick hitter that doesn't go anywhere. Chiefs were ready for that. It was Derek Johnson coming up to make the tackle. Eli's been an Ironman, 150th consecutive start. That includes the playoffs.
He's a fighter, there's no doubt about it. And like I said in the open, Eli has a penchant for playing his best when they need him the most. Today's a day like that.
It's a precarious situation with 2 new starters on the line, and it is loud in Arrowhead Stadium. 2nd and 11. Pressure. Manning eludes on the run. Incomplete. He was looking for Hakeem Nicks. Sean Smith on the coverage. 3rd and long.
Something that Eli was excited and confident about was those matchups outside. This is a Chiefs defense that goes man-to-man, as you see the Giants offensive line. Cordell and Booth and Brewer inside, and there's the skill players. The wide receivers are who Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning have called upon. They're going to have the one-on-one matchups. Can they win, and win quick?
Giants having some trouble hearing, and 3rd down, they're 29th in the league, 29%. This is 3rd and 11. Clock winding down. Did he get it off? He did. Pressure coming. Eli gets rid of it. Incomplete. There is a flag. I think this is a delay of game coming.
There was no play.
Nope.
Prior to the snap, delay of game, offense, half the distance to the goal, 3rd down.
Well, that's a tough start, John, for the Giants after holding on defense, get backed up, and then a 3 and out.
Well, you think about that start. What they need when you're down, a special teams play can so often get yourself out of it. They get the long return. The penalty, it puts them pinned back where the noise is just so loud in that end zone. Eli having trouble hearing and communicating to his teammates.
It looks like Eli Manning's having a hard time here in the plays. If his helmet is even working with that headset right now.
This is a time a veteran quarterback like Eli gets in there and just call a play that he likes. And that's exactly what Eli's doing.
3rd and 14. We'll give to Scott just to give him some room, and he has more than that up to the 15. It's going to be shy of a first. Dante Robinson with the tackle, and the Giants will punt it away. At least they give some breathing room for Steve Weatherford.
Yeah, you see the trouble with communication. I think a smart play. Get it out of there. You've got the team and the Chiefs that lead the NFL in sacks. You're backed up. Don't want to start the game with the safety. Get some cushion for the punter, Steve Weatherford, to change field position.
Dexter McCluster back to receive. It's Weatherford to punt it away. He gets the right leg into it. This is a returnable kick. McCluster looking for something, taken down, and a penalty as well. A couple penalties come down on this play. Demontre Moore, the rookie, made the tackle. 44-yard punt, just a 3-yard return, but let's see what the flag is.
During the return, holding, receiving team number 38. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
Take a look at the penalty. Eli Manning having trouble getting the plays. Scoreless first quarter.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Each team has had a possession as Pat Flaherty diagramming some plays. Chiefs have it. 1st and 10, their own 34-yard line, scoreless first quarter. And getting it away is Alex Smith, but a nice tackle. Antrell rollover there to make the hit. It was Kevin Brock, the backup tight end, is going to pick up 2. Should mention the Chiefs playing without their top 2 tight ends today. Anthony Fasano, the starter, and Travis Kelce, the rookie, both down.
Both have been down, and Sean McGrath has stepped in and done a tremendous job filling that slack. You see the average starting position. This is something the Chiefs have thrived upon. They're protecting the football. They know they've got an all-pro punter in Colquitt that can pin the other team back. We've seen that already today.
Over.
Second and 8, here's Jamal Charles trying to get outside. Spencer Pasinger all over him, and we get a flag behind the line of scrimmage.
There's a flag on the play.
Holding offense number 74. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
See Jeff Schwartz, he's going to be the left guard. You watch him pull out, and he's working on Cullen Jenkins right there. He grabs a handful of jersey, Terry McCauley all over it. This is exactly where the New York Giants defense wanted to be. Justin Tuck talked about the keys to success. Stop Jamal Charles, put it in Alex Smith's hands. Remember, this Giants team had success against Alex Smith last year in San Francisco.
Dustin Tuck is back in, too. You see him right there. Remember, he went out the last series. Looked like he was in some pain, but back in there now. 2nd and 18 after the hold. Smith coming across the field. He's got Dwayne Bowe, his big target. And John Bowe out to about the 39-yard line. He'll pick up the blitz there, too.
This is something the Chiefs have been doing so much of, the quick 3-step drop, utilizing the skills of big receiver like Dwayne Bowe. He can put that body on Aaron Ross so that it's Bowe or nobody else. Great throw and great execution by Alex Smith.
His 7th season out of LSU. He is certainly in the Chiefs record books, coming off an unusually quiet game. Only 1 catch for 4 yards against Philadelphia last week. Chiefs looking at a 3rd and 5. That's Charles in motion. Blitz picked up again, and Smith incomplete. He was looking for Avery, but Aaron Ross all over him. No chance, and the Chiefs will punt it away.
Great job by Aaron Ross. He had a tough day last week. Cam Newton went after him and had success with it. Now, Aaron Ross has been watching the film. He understands Donnie Avery, a lot of underneath routes, a lot of drive routes underneath. Aaron Ross all over him. Great coverage.
So this Giants defense that came in allowing over 38 points a game has held the Chiefs their first 2 series. Colquitt will punt it away. He has got 13 punts inside the 20 this year. That leads the NFL. Almost blocked. And I wonder if there is a piece. There's a flag here, but I wonder the Giants got a piece of that. Demontre Moore came in, and now the ball, there's a scrum on the far sideline. Well, there is a flag, but I wonder if Moore got a piece. If he did, that won't be a penalty.
There's no foul for roughing the kicker. The ball is tipped. 1st down, New York. Timeout.
And because of that, the Giants will have great field position on their 2nd possession. The rookie, Moore, with a huge punt block.
Fox is sponsored by Jaguar. See the new model year lineup at your local Jaguar retailer today. By Moto X, designed by you, assembled in the USA. And by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today.
After the punt block by Demontre Moore, the Giants have good field position. A 1st and 10, their own 37, their 2nd possession. And here is David Wilson with good room, and Wilson up across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Akeem Jordan with the tackle, but not before a 9-yard gain. And the Chiefs were wary of this guy, despite the fact he's had a tough start to the year.
He's had a tough start. The Giants are last in the league in rushing, but that's all they could talk about was this guy, David Wilson. They say he is the X factor to this offense. They respect him. They liken him to their own running back, Pro Bowler Jamal Charles. I like him in between the tackles like that.
He came in with only 75 yards rushing, but really after 2 fumbles in the season opener against Dallas has been trying to get out of the doghouse. And Wilson again upended, but he should have the first down for New York after a gain of 2. We have our first game break of the day. We check in with Curt Menefee.
And we check in with Lynch's old team, the Buccaneers. New quarterback Mike Glennon. First NFL touchdown. Hooks up with Mike Williams on the second drive of the day. 8-yard score. The Buccaneers are on the board in the first quarter over Arizona, 7-0. Kevin, John, and Aaron.
The Mike Glennon era has started with a bang for Tampa Bay, that's for sure. Josh Freeman inactive today, by the way. First down after the 2 runs by David Wilson for the Giants. Pressure, Manning unloads for Nix, and he dropped it. Oh, that was in the hands of Akeem Nix. Dante Robinson on the coverage, but we have a flag.
10-yard penalty, first down.
And the Giants are coming back anyway.
This is something Eli Manning said. Expect to see about 8 to 10 deep balls throughout the course of the game. We're going to have to catch our share. And that's a drop, ladies and gentlemen. Akeem Nix has to bring that in. It would have been for naught anyway with the holding penalty on the Giants offensive line.
You know, when you've struggled, you know, and Manning did say, you know, we have to take our shots. That's who we are. But he also said we have to convert a couple. That's a golden opportunity right there. Brandon Jacobs in at tailback on a 1st and 20. Manning rolls the pocket and has his first completion. Victor Cruz on the far sideline. And it looks like the communication problems that the Giants had the first series are gone. Erin Andrews, maybe more on that?
Yeah, we literally saw Eli Manning motioning to the sideline, pointing to his helmet. Well, there was nothing wrong with that helmet. The Giants just needed to turn it up. He was down by that end zone. It's crazy because they were worried about this inexperienced offensive line getting the calls. Guys, you got to turn your headset up for your QB.
Aaron, I'm having that problem here, too. It's loud in here. I'm turning mine up.
You know, I've gotten asked that plenty of times. Is the mic on? Well, now it is. Thanks, Aaron. 2nd and 15. Here comes pressure from Holly. Manning into traffic. And Cruz did a nice job just to break it up. Tamba Ali, who Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator, called relentless on the pressure.
Well, Kevin Gilbride came in knowing that Eli Manning sacked 7 times last week with a patchwork offensive line. He's going to have to do some things. So what do we see the last 2 plays? They're moving the pocket. You got to help that offensive line. Kevin Gilbride doing everything he can to do that.
And now a 3rd and 15. Giants 0 for 1 today, coming in at 29% on the year. 3rd worst in the league. Darrell Scott in at running back. And they're going to give a draw to Scott, who has a decent hole up the middle, but he's going to be nowhere near a first down. Out across midfield, Derek Johnson on the tackle.
Kevin, I think a lot of people at home saying, what are you doing? The last 2 3rd and longs, draw plays. One of the things the Giants, Eli Manning talked about, be in the game in the 4th quarter. That's how the Chiefs have played things. That's how the Giants feel like they need to play things. So they're not going to play cautious, but when they're in bad situations, they're going to try not to make it worse.
The reason is simple. When you look at these teams, Chiefs 3-0, Giants 0-3. Chiefs are +9, Giants are -9. Weatherford gets off the punt. And the cluster will let it bounce, and it takes a great Giant bounce. It's down inside the 5. Ryan Mundy down there to stop it. We have a flag around the 41-yard line, though. It's a 45-yard punt.
During the kick, holding receiving team number 54. Half the distance to the goal from the 20-yard line. First down, timeout.
So the Chiefs, who have been virtually mistake-free, making a couple of errors today. And we'll see Alex Smith on the field. 3rd possession for the Chiefs. Scoreless game here in KC. Giants and Chiefs are scoreless here at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. 5:25 to go in the first quarter. That's Ryan Suckup, who is the Chiefs place kicker, but a developing story. He may be the Chiefs punter for the rest of this game. We'll tell you after the play. As the Chiefs start up deep in their own territory on their own 2. Smith's going to throw it. And he's got a lot of time. Now he's going to take off. Smith with a good move. Oh, and a nice tackle out there. That could have been a huge game. Prince Amukamara saved a big game, but he's close to a first down. Let's check in on that punting situation down to the field with Aaron.
Well, actually, I'm watching Dustin Colquitt walk up the stairs right now. I think he was having his knee actually taped up in the locker room because there is tape under his sock. He was having the athletic staff look at that right knee, and he was trying to put weight on it, Kevin. I'll let you know he's grabbing a football right now. I'll let you know if there's any developments here.
Well, that is a huge story. He's been, if not the best, one of the best punters in the league. Meanwhile, that was a first down run for Alex Smith to get out of that hole. Smith coming near side for Ball, and there's a penalty flag. He's looking for it. There it comes. He was looking for that. Ryan Mundy was over there and looked like to be a lot of grabbing.
Pass interference. Defense number 21. Automatic first down.
I think it's 31. Aaron Ross right there. They run the double move on Aaron Ross, and he does all he can do. Otherwise, Dwayne Bowe is gone. Sometimes a smart penalty for the defense. Right there's an example of that for Aaron Ross. One of the things Aaron Ross, though, he has trouble with his eye discipline. He looks at the quarterback instead of the wide receiver. Bit him last week. Carolina got him on a double move for a touchdown.
First and 10, Chiefs with McCluster in the slot. And another fake. Charles picking up the blitz beautifully. Smith has nothing there, and he's just going to slide down right around the line of scrimmage. Spencer Pasinger was there. But Spencer, or John, I should say, Charles really helping his quarterback there with the pickup.
Jamal Charles, a complete football player. That's one thing in studying this. He may be my favorite football player in this league because everyone thinks of him as a speed guy. He takes pride in the little things. You see Charles come up, step up, hit the defensive back right in the mouth. Terrell Thomas. Guy's a tough football player, is Jamal Charles.
Counts as a sack. Spencer Pasinger credited with that. And a second down out of the eye. Here is Charles, and Charles gets met at the line of scrimmage and goes down. Pasinger again, and he's been all over the field early for the Giants.
Well, Pasinger has, and studying him on film, he's the most athletic of the linebackers for the New York Giants. He's playing right there in the middle. You're going to see him shoot the gap. The physicality has been the problem with him. Looks like he sees it. Now you got to go get it. Today he's going and getting it.
And a third and long for Kansas City. They're 1 of 3 on third downs today. It's an area they've struggled with this year, though. 32%. That's 24th in the league. Four-man rush. Smith going to tuck it and run. Diving forward. He's got a first down. Pasinger and Williams on the tackle, but not before Smith picked up 9.
This is something Alex Smith has always prided himself on. They're going to give me the grass. I'll take it. He said Mike McCarthy, early in his career, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, was the offensive coordinator in San Francisco. He talks about the hidden yardage. And when it's there, go ahead and take it. That hidden yardage adds up, and it moves the chains. Exactly what it does right there.
First and 10 at the 40. This play does not go anywhere as the whistle blows.
First charge timeout, New York.
And the Giants take their first timeout here in Kansas City, where we remain scoreless thus far. 2:23 to go in the first.
Here's the last play before the timeout. You see only 10 people on the field for the New York Giants. And then Tom Coughlin alertly sees it and goes and gets the timeout.
First and 10 Chiefs. Smith, and he's got a completion. That is Sean McGrath, the tight end, technically third stringer. He's your starter today, though, with the injuries. Aaron Ross on the stop, and that is, I don't know what that is growing off his face.
I don't know what that's growing on his face, but I know this. He's been huge for this team.
Yes.
They lost their top 2 tight ends. He's picked up after the preseason from Seattle, and he's been huge for this team.
Chiefs have a drive going, first and 10. Smith has Charles wide open, and he hits him at the 30. Makes the move. Jamal Charles inside the 20. Mark Herzlich with the stop, but Charles the big weapon out of the backfield, and a gain of 31.
Jamaal Charles talked about being a complete football player. You're going to see him right here. He talked about, I learned young in my career that if you want to stay on the field, you got to do everything well. He's become an accomplished wide receiver out of the backfield. They'll line him up outside, and Alex Smith loves throwing to him.
He came into the game as the Chiefs' leading receiver, giving an idea of his versatility. Kansas City with a guy going with a lot of spread looks today. Empty backfield again, 5 wide. And here's Poe with the catch. And a short gain at the 15-yard line. Pickup of 2.
I'll tell you, Kevin, the early returns, Tom Coughlin implored his defensive line. We need the pressure. You're supposed to be a strength of this team. When we've been good before, that's the group that's been the bell cow. There's no pressure here today. Chiefs are throwing quick to counteract it, but there's no pressure. When they have held onto the ball, they're blocking it up.
Giants came into this game with 3 sacks. That was last in the National Football League. 8th play of the drive, 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Blitz, Smith to Avery. Down at the 5, first down, Chiefs. And that should take us to the end of the first quarter. 9-yard gain. And the Chiefs will have a first and goal when we come back to Arrowhead Stadium. Quarter number 1 in the books. We're scoreless so far with the Chiefs and the Giants. NFL on Fox returns after these messages. We start quarter number 2, and the Chiefs have a first and goal. Scoreless game, Giants and Chiefs. This drive started on the 2-yard line. It's been a beauty, and Alex Smith with a big drive, 20 yards rushing, 55 passing. Pressure from Kiwanuka, and Smith gets away and throws it incomplete in the area of Jamaal Charles, but lucky to get away from Kiwanuka.
Well, and that's a welcome sight for New York Giants fans. You see Kiwanuka working against the rookie Eric Fisher, #1 draft pick. He goes with the power, and he gets to Alex Smith. Giants need more of that, and they need it from someone else other than Kiwanuka.
Dwayne Bowe, bottom of your screen on a 2nd and goal. Instead of a middle screen, and Charles just dropped it.
Andy Reid knows he's got a weapon in Jamaal Charles, and he finds a multitude of ways to use him. Right there was something there. He had blockers out in front. Charles does not look it in, sets up a big 3rd and goal.
First 2 incompletions on the drive for Smith. Reid used to love that little shuttle play in Philadelphia that he'd give it to Brian Westbrook. Similar there. The cluster in motion. Plenty of time. Smith, touchdown. Sean McGrath, beard and all, has Kansas City up 6.
We saw this play in practice on Friday. The play's really intended. The #1 option is McCluster right there in motion. The Giants do a nice job of covering McCluster. Alex Smith says, all right, you're going to cover 22. I'll throw it to 84. Great job reading the coverage by Alex Smith.
That's a first career touchdown for the 2nd-year man from Henderson State. And now Colquitt in the game to hold at least. The punter sucked up the extra point. Up and good. Beautiful drive for the Chiefs. 98 yards on 11 plays. Culminating with this. The tight end Sean McGrath, his first NFL touchdown. Intro roll. Not thrilled as his Giants trail the Chiefs 7-0. So the 3rd drive of the day does it for Kansas City, John. And, you know, Kiwanuka got pressure there, but already you're seeing even when Perry Fuels come with the blitz, they're not getting there.
There hasn't been enough, and what's happening now, Perry Fuels feeling like he has to blitz. Alex Smith does a great job of diagnosing that, and then Alex Smith just playing smart football, continues to use his legs to move the chains, and you see him read out the coverage right there, going to someone like Sean McGrath. No one knows his name, but he's playing big for the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
Big play on the drive, a 31-yard pass to Jamal Charles, really got him down there. He also had a couple big runs, so the Chiefs offense coming to life. Now it's on Eli Manning of the Giants. They'll get their third look of the day. And Suckup kicks it off. Returnable for Wilson if he chooses. Good return for David Wilson. He's out to the 26. Fox tonight, do you have what it takes to survive the return of animation domination? It's 2 epic hours that'll give all your senses a workout. Don't miss the season premiere of your animation domination favorites. It all starts when Kristen Wiig guest stars with The Simpsons tonight on Fox. Manning trying to get going with this Giants offense on their third possession. There's Jacobs. Brandon Jacobs gets out to the 31. He's going to pick up 5 on first down. This Chiefs defense came into today allowing the second least points in the league, just over 11 a game.
And they're special. They got some special players. Dontari Poe, he's taken it to a new level this year, along with Tyson Jackson. Justin Houston, league leader in sacks. Tamba Hali, it all starts with him. Relentless pass rusher. And the back end, Eric Berry, excellent safety. Sean Smith has played at a high level as well at the cornerback position.
They keep Brandon Jacobs in on a 2nd and 5. Pressure. Manning unloading deep, wide open is Cruz. He's got it! Touchdown, New York! Salsa time. 69-yard bomb to Victor Cruz.
Well, Eli Manning told us we like our matchups outside, in particular with Victor Cruz. He's working against Dante Robinson, who's filling in, remember, for Brandon Flowers. Nothing fancy about that, just flat out runs Dante Robinson, and no one throws the deep ball better than Eli Manning. That's something the Chiefs knew was coming. The Giants knew they were going to come with it. The Giants just out-executed and outplayed the Kansas City Chiefs.
If ever a team needed that, it was the New York Giants. Weatherford to Hall, Josh Brown on the extra point. It's up and good. Eli Manning hooking up with Victor Cruz from 69 yards out, and we are all tied in Kansas City.
On Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Pizza Hut. Prep for game day by ordering online from Pizza Hut. Make it great.
Great shot of Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Victor Cruz, a 69-yard touchdown catch from Eli Manning. For Cruz, his 4th touchdown of the year. And we're all tied up here in the second quarter. Brown deep to Quentin Demps and not returnable.
Let's go back to that touchdown, Kevin. And first of all, let's look at why he's all alone outside. They're going to influence. Brandon Myers is going to influence Eric Berry, the safety. And there's that proverbial island that they talk about for the cornerback position. It's a lonely spot, particularly when you got Victor Cruz out there. And the translation, a little salsa dancing for Victor Cruz. You see Myers here going to work against Eric Berry. Nice job. Nice design and execution by Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator. You pull that safety, and then Victor Cruz having a great time here in Kansas City.
Jaron Hosley, I believe, is the injured Giant on the far side of the field. Yes, it's Hosley on that kickoff. So the Giants out to see if he's okay. While they do that, we've got a game break. We check in with Curt Menefee.
Well, it's not exactly Cruz-like, but Matt Forte gets around the edge, and there he goes. Against Detroit, 53 yards on the run, and the Bears take the lead in the Lions' home I guess you could say the Lions' den. 10-6 right now in the second quarter. Kevin, John, and Aaron.
And that's a big game. Schwartz only 1-7 against the Bears. Here's Victor Cruz, his 20th career touchdown as Hosley limps off the field, and that's a big problem for KC. That's Brandon Flowers, the #1 cornerback, who would have been on Cruz today.
That was going to be the matchup. Flowers has been having trouble with that knee. They felt like they needed to give him a week off to get that thing healthy.
Charles on the pitch, heavy pursuit, and had to cut his route short. Boy, the Giants play that well. Justin Tuck just blew that play up.
Yeah, that play, the tackle likely won't go to Justin Tuck, but watch the play. Very fundamentally sound player. He's going to fight through Kevin Brock, the tight end, and look at that hustle. That's the effort Tom Coughlin's calling for. First job, remember, stop Jamaal Charles. Justin Tuck, great job right there.
It's a loss of 2 to Charles. Doing a good job against him so far. Jamaal just 4 carries, 7 yards. Delayed blitz coming to set up a screen. Charles, and he's out across the 25 to the 26. Herzlich made a nice play there. It'll be a 3rd down coming up.
One thing you know when you face the Kansas City Chiefs, whether it be in the run game, the screen game, lining them up at wide receiver, 25 is going to touch the ball a lot, and you better have an answer for them. New York Giants, very aware of that. 6 touches already for Jamaal Charles today.
Giants linebackers been very active today, John. Paysinger, Herzlich making a couple plays. 3rd and 5, that was McCluster in motion. Smith going far side to McCluster. 1st down, Kansas City. He's out to the 35-yard line. Going to pick up about 10. Aaron Ross and Paysinger there on the stop.
I think one of the things that Andy Reid and offensive coordinator Doug Peterson have done is found a way to use Dexter McCluster. Now, Alex Smith said, look, I've played with tweeners before. Usually they aren't really fluid wide receivers. He said, I was shocked when I got here how fluid of a receiver McCluster is. And they're finding ways to get him involved in this offense.
52 catches a year ago. Came into this game with 6 receptions. On a 1st and 10, that one won't go anywhere.
False start. Offense number 72. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
It's on Eric Fisher, the #1 overall selection, who out of Central Michigan. The rookie has had his troubles here and there so far.
He's had his struggles, and I think the one thing that's become quite apparent, whether it's Luke Jokel down there in Jacksonville, whether it's Justin Pugh for the New York Giants, playing tackle in this league is not easy, even if you're the #1 draft choice. Now, talking to Justin Tuck, he said, look, it's clear on film why he was the #1 draft choice. There's flashes of brilliance, but there's also the struggles.
1st and 15. Plenty of time for Smith, who's going to get over the middle. Charles, nice cut. And Charles slides down at the 40-yard line. Paysinger was there, but Charles going to pick up 10.
Should have watched Pierre-Paul right here working against Alpert, the left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Nothing. I mean, you just remember the time when the Giants were humming. Pierre-Paul was unblockable. I don't know if it's coming off the injury. He didn't play in preseason. His legs do not seem underneath him, and he hasn't been that presence that the Giants really are counting on.
He had 16.5 sacks in 2011. Off-season back surgery. Didn't have a preseason, though. Now out of the game. Smith on a 2nd and 6, incomplete. Donnie Avery, the intended receiver, but that one had no chance. But, you know, with Pierre-Paul, he had that just jump on the scene season, the 16.5 sacks, 1st-round pick out of South Florida, and was a freak. I mean, throwing people aside, jumping over people. Didn't practice in the preseason at all. His 1st week of practice, John, was the 1st week of the regular season.
And I think so much of it is confidence. Confidence that your back is indeed all right and trusting it. And right now, it just does not look like he has that trust. Doesn't look like he has the explosion that we're so used to seeing.
Chiefs are 4 of 6 on 3rd down today. Coming in, the Giants were horrible on 3rd down, allowing 48%, 3rd worst in the league. Stunt picked up, 1st down, Kansas City. It's Avery.
Watch Justin Tuck. They're going to run a little game. He's going to come out of here. What Alex Smith is saying, do all that. I'm going to get rid of the football. I'm going to find my matchup. This time it's Donnie Avery, and he's throwing the ball on the money. Very accurate thrower. Alex Smith playing great football here in Kansas City.
Alex Smith, 12 of 18, 125 yards and a touchdown. He's heated up after a slow start, and another Chiefs first down. Charles, nowhere to run. Giants playing the run well today. Linval Joseph on the stop, no gain.
You know, Kev, we talked to Andy Reid about Alex Smith, and we said, how did you identify him as the guy you wanted to bring in? And Andy said, look, I've liked him for a long time. This is talking going back to when Alex was the #1 pick. He played with Kyle Whittingham at BYU. Andy Reid did. He was the defensive coordinator. He's friends with Urban Meyer. He loved him. He said, look, in the West Coast system, you don't need a howitzer for an arm. Look at Joe Montana. Look at Steve Young. They did all right. And his smarts is what attracted him most.
Smith's going to sling it out. Charles wasn't looking. Jamal Charles just never turned around that time.
You see Dwayne Bowe with the out and up, the double move, and look at where his eyes are again, Aaron Ross. You saw that on film against Carolina. It's bit him earlier on the penalty today. You've got to have that eye discipline. Get your eyes on the receiver, not the quarterback. Aaron Ross better make that adjustment.
KC has been terrific on third. 5 of 7 at 71% on third down. Here, 3rd and 10. Pierre-Paul back in the game. Bottom of your screen, number 90. That's Justin Tuck again, the middle linebacker. Here comes the blitz. There's Poe. And he's got it in traffic. No, incomplete. Aaron Ross was there, and Bowe had his hands on it. Did not make the grab.
There's Pierre-Paul working against Alpert, the left tackle. Great job. Single block. They bring the pressure. They block it up. Alex Smith finds the matchup he likes, but that's an outstanding play by Aaron Ross. And you see the ball does hit the ground. Nice call by the officials.
Dustin Colquitt is on to punt, so I guess that leg is okay. Remember, Aaron was telling us earlier they were really working on that. And he's out there now to punt it away. Ruben Randall, fair catch. Giants take over on about their 12-yard line. Good game so far. 7-7 here in the second quarter. Giants, Chiefs. Gorgeous afternoon in Kansas City. Giants football. 7-7 game here in the second quarter. Brandon Myers, a tight end in motion. Here's David Wilson. And Wilson makes something out of nothing there as he works his way across the 15. It was Houston on the tackle. Eli Manning hit Victor Cruz on that 69-yard touchdown. Other than that, hasn't been much else for the Giants thus far.
Eli Manning kind of set that scene for us. We said, what's the keys to winning? He said, John, I think it's going to come down to the big plays. The way they play, they're going to be committed to stopping the run. We can't beat our head against the ball, against a wall. We're going to have those matchups outside. We got to win.
And you know what? Chiefs came in leading the league in sacks. This patchwork Giants offensive line with 2 reserves playing today has done a nice job. Second and 6. They swing it out of the backfield, and that's Brandon Jacobs across the 20. We have a game break. Checking in with Kurt Menefee.
This is fun. Watch Adrian Peterson out of the backfield. Little move, little leap, and there he goes. 60 yards on the run against Pittsburgh. The Vikings had a 70-yard touchdown pass to Greg Jennings earlier, and right now they're leading in London 17-7 as those two teams each look for their first win of the season. Kevin, John, and Aaron.
Matt Castle starting that game for Minnesota as Peterson with the big run.
You can start anybody at quarterback. Just hand it to that guy, Adrian Peterson, and good things will happen.
3rd and 1. That's Terrell Scott. They go empty backfield. And Eli just throwing it up, and a great catch is made. It's Akeem Nicks Sean Smith on the coverage, but that will be a 16-yard gain and a first down.
These are the one-on-one matchups Eli was talking about that he likes so much, and he has confidence in his receivers. I can throw it up there. They're going to go get it. At the least, it will be an incomplete pass. Akeem Nicks does a nice job earning that trust from Eli Manning.
Manning told us about the offensive line. Said, my job's to worry downfield. We'll do something to protect me. And it looks like he has. On a 1st and 10, it's Wilson, and he's not going to go very far. Tyson Jackson was there. Well, coming into this game, the Giants, it was certainly a tough start. You see their running game non-existent, worst in the NFL. Sacked 11 times, that's second worst, of course 7 times against Carolina, and then turning the ball over. 13 giveaways started in that Dallas game. 115 points allowed. That's hard to believe for the Giants defense.
Absolutely. And, I've been very impressed with offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride, doing a good job helping this offensive line out, staying committed to the run, quick passing game, move the pocket, good adjustments.
David Wilson again. He goes nowhere. Wow. He had nowhere to go. Akeem Jordan blew it up. A loss of 2.
Akeem Jordan coming right through the interior of that Giants defensive line with little cross dog, locate the football and go and get it. That's great linebacker play.
Victor Cruz in the slot against Dante Robinson. He burned him on the touchdown earlier. 3rd and 11. Manning sidesteps pressure. Now he's sacked and fumbled. Chiefs football. Tamba Hali coming up with the sack and forced fumble. Robinson recovered.
Take a look at the illusion. They show all this up here, Bob Sutton, but the pressure's going to come from over here. It's Tamba Hali working off the edge. Bear Pasco tries to get to him. You see Robinson. Tamba Hali very smartly goes after the football. Dante Robinson, great design by Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator. Great execution by Tamba Hali and Dante Robinson.
That's the 2nd sack of the year for Hali. Penn State and Teaneck, New Jersey, where he grew up. Now it's Jamal Charles. And again, the Giants playing Charles well. Herzlich on the tackle after a short game.
They were committed to coming in, and priority number 1, everyone said it, stop Jamal Charles. To me, that means there's going to be opportunity downfield for the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen them primarily on quick throws, things underneath throughout this season. At some point, you're going to have to take it downfield. Interested to see if today's that day.
The 14th giveaway, and up until that point, the line had blocked pretty well. Bob Sutton with that overload, and it caused a turnover. 2nd and 7. And now a fumble as the snap gets messed up, and that's on the ground. And the Giants may have this one. They do. That's Paysinger who came out of the pile with it. Not sure what happened on the snap, but it never got to Alex Smith.
Well, it appears as if Rodney Hudson thinks that Alex Smith is under center. And there's the first turnover for the Kansas City Chiefs on the season. Paysinger right on it.
On Fox is sponsored by Cadillac.
Well, the Chiefs turn it over for the first time this season. Almost hard to believe that they went 13 and a half quarters without a turnover, but the Giants, after turning it over, get it right back 2 plays later. 7-7 game, under 5 minutes to play in the first half. Here comes Poe, and Manning, nearly intercepted. Pasco wrestling in a wrestling match that time with Johnson, and it's incomplete.
Let's go back and look at that first turnover. You're going to see Rodney Hudson, the center. He thinks Alex Smith is under center. Alex Smith is not under center. He's back in the shotgun. And that's the first turnover the Kansas City Chiefs all year. You see him snap it, Alex Smith not there. Got to get that fixed.
Second and 10. It's Wilson. And he squirms his way out to the 35. Going to pick up 4 yards. Akeem Jordan made the tackle.
And I like the commitment to the run game. We've seen Wilson. We've seen Brandon Jacobs. The commitment to the running game. You set up some more advantageous third down situations. It helps that offensive line that, remember, is playing without 2 starters in the interior. Kevin Gilbride doing a nice job here today.
Tom Coughlin said of David Wilson, a lot of people had their heads down last week. He wasn't one of them. Terrell Jernigan in the game. He's at the bottom of your screen on a third down. Pressure. Manning is sacked. Alan Bailey comes in to make the play. His first sack of the year.
Bailey's going to be right in there, working against Brewer and Cordell, the two players filling in. Excuse me, that was Booth and Cordell, and Bailey delivers. Chiefs leading the NFL in sacks.
Weatherford will punt it away. Dexter McCluster. And he's up. Put him about the 36-yard line. Eli Manning, a couple of sacks last 2 possessions as his Giants trying to figure out this Chiefs defensive line. All tied at 7.
Let's take a look at that last sack. Kevin Booth working with Jim Cordell in his first start at center. Booth thinks he has help from Cordell. Miscommunication right there. Cordell's not getting beat. That's just a miscommunication, something that you're going to deal with new starters in there. There's Flaherty, the offensive line coach, trying to work it out during the break. Offensive line, a position that takes a lot of continuity, probably the most so on the field of position groups. The Giants certainly working through that.
When you look at the right side of the line, you see the inexperience. With Boss Snee and David Deal all out today, that's a combined 396 starts not in the lineup for the Giants. Chiefs ball on a first down. They get McGrath right over the middle, who's got a first down. And the bearded one is down to the Giant 41. Ryan Monday made the tackle, but a 23-yard hookup.
Well, the bearded one's quickly becoming Alex Smith's go-to guy. You're going to see him right there, the hard play action. So much focus on Jamal Charles. It opens up the middle. That's a nicely thrown football by Alex Smith.
You know, last week, Alex Smith only threw 1 ball that traveled more than 10 yards in the air. And I don't know, being out of practice, you almost felt there's a little edge to be like, hey, we can throw it farther if we want to. Smith gets a good block. Ball bounces, nearly intercepted. Spencer Pasinger almost got a fortuitous bounce, but it's incomplete.
Prince Amukamara is a player that competes his tail off. People ask, who's playing well on this defense? He's a guy who's playing well. That's good technique, staying square, going to ride him and get that left hand in there right at the moment of truth. That's good cornerback play by Amukamara.
Second and 10. And Charles squirms through the line before Herzlich wrapped him up.
Tackled by Mark Herzlich.
See Smith's first half so far. You know, the thing about Alex Smith is he is a smart human being. I mean, he graduated Utah in 3 years with an economics degree. And Andy Reid, what did he say about using Alex Smith's mind? We have to use all of his gigabytes.
Got to use all those gigabytes. And he calls it a beautiful mind is what he calls Alex Smith. And you can see this offense, they throw a lot at you. Alex Smith can handle it all.
Chiefs lighting it up on third, 5 of 8. And they swing it out in the flat to McGrath, who was wrestled down shy of a first down. Nice tackle, Jaquan Williams. Wrestled down McGrath, who's hurt. And that is not great. He's the 3rd string tight end for Kansas City. Their top 2 tight ends, Fasano and Kelsey, are out.
They only have 1 other tight end, Kevin Brock, up active today, so that would be a big loss.
Well, 10 to McGrath. We've got a 7-7 game, 2:20 to go, first half from KC. Chiefs are set up to attempt a field goal here on a 4th and 1. As Ryan Succop will line up for a 51-yard field goal. Succop's 0 for 2 from 50 yards and out this year. He missed a 51-yarder and also had a 57-yarder blocked. Career long 54 for him. As time is winding down, we will hit the 2-minute warning, and Succop will have some more time to think about this field goal that would put Kansas City in front. 2-minute warning here in Kansas City. Minutes to go in the first half, and Ryan Succop will line up for a 51-yard field goal try. 0 for 2 from 50 and out this year. Dustin Colquitt, rather, his brother, is on the hold. Snap and hold are good. Succop drills it. 51-yard field goal puts the Chiefs in front. And now Eli Manning, with 2 timeouts left, will have 1:55 to go. Succop a happy man as it flew through this picture-perfect sky in Kansas City today. And Andy Reid and Tom Coughlin have met each other a bunch of times. You know, Andy Reid is 10-9 against Coughlin. They have had some classic games. Reid has met him twice in the playoffs and won as coach of the Eagles. But you saw when we talked to both coaches the mutual respect there.
An immense amount of respect, and rightly so for both of them. They battled hard in the NFC East. They both respect each other in the men they are and the way they coach a football team, and I do as well. Both tremendous people.
Reid said about Coughlin, we're going to get everything he's got today. Every game is a throw-down, drag-out grinder. He said when you're done, you sit in a chair and go, whoo. This one has the feel of that, doesn't it? 7-7, or 10-7 now, excuse me, Chiefs lead. And Succop kicks it out of the end zone. So Eli Manning has himself, John, 1:55 to go, 2 timeouts left here. He's got the big play to Victor Cruz. What else are you seeing from this Giants offense?
Well, I think what you're seeing is exactly the picture they depicted, that they like the matchups outside. They got to get the time to get the ball to those matchups outside. This offensive line, patchwork group, doing a good job for the most part. Kevin Gilbride's got to continue the mix of run and pass so they can take advantage of those matchups outside.
They haven't had the big play in the run game, but they certainly have been committed to it thus far. Wilson, 6 carries, 18 yards. Darrell Scott, 2 carries, 19 yards. 2 timeouts for the Giants. And Manning's going to toss it to Cruz, who makes a nice move and is going to be, I believe, a hair shy of a first down. It'll be close. Dante Robinson on the tackle. As the clock at 1:38.
See Darrell Scott over here going to chip on Justin Houston.
That's Nix, who's got a first down. He's going to be tackled immediately by the rookie from Rutgers, Marcus Cooper. Giants not using their 2 timeouts just yet.
This is an area that Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, really respected Eli Manning in this 2-minute offense. He said he's deadly.
3-man rush, now a 4-man rush, and Manning throws it into traffic. He's got a completion to Ruben Randall. Clock, though, is moving. We're at 1:03, still no timeout.
Plenty of time. You just got to continue to move those chains. Eli told us he's got a great deal of trust in Randall. He can throw it out there and knows that the guy will compete for the ball.
Blitz coming, it's picked up. He's got Cruz wide open. Victor Cruz will slither out of bounds at the 43-yard line. And a nice blitz pickup by Darrell Scott. Clock stop with 46 seconds.
I tell you, this offensive line's done a tremendous job keeping Justin Houston, the NFL sack leader, in check throughout the course of the game. Here's Houston up top. But watch Darrell Scott on the blitz pickup on Eric Berry. Gives Eli the time. Eli finds his favorite receiver, Victor Cruz.
They line it up with Hakeem Nicks, top of your screen, against Sean Smith, their big corner. Manning steps up, hit as he throws. Nice play. He was looking for Victor Cruz that time, but Quentin Demps knocked it away.
See the ball, well-thrown football where Victor can have it or no one else. Eli knows that I got to throw this where it's Victor's ball, nobody's ball. Gibbs gets his hand, but the ball's out of bounds by the time he touches it.
40 seconds to go in the half. 2 timeouts for the Giants. Blitz coming. Manning gets rid of it, has a completion down at the 35. Nix made a tough catch while getting a hit by Derek Johnson, and a timeout by the Giants. Let's go to Kurt Menefee, get a preview of what's coming up at halftime.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, the Bengals and Browns clash in the battle for Ohio. We'll see what's going on across the pond as the Steelers take on the Vikings. And we promise not to make a Big Ben or Castle in London reference. At least we'll try not to. It's all on the Visa halftime.
All right, Kurt, thanks.
Well, just a tremendous catch. This is big boy football right there. Derek Johnson coming with a clean hit. Hakeem Nicks knows that it's coming, hangs in there. That's great courage. His head coach called for some courage, for some determination. Hakeem Nicks delivering.
Giants right now are in field goal range. They certainly like to get a little bit closer, though, on a 3rd and 2. Right now it's about a 53-yard field goal. Josh Brown's career long is 58, but that was a long time ago for him. Manning going deep for Nix, incomplete. Sean Smith was on the coverage.
Sean Smith been a terrific pickup. He's long, he uses that length well. Nice coverage. Eli puts it on Nix again. Smith does get that hand in there.
Giants are going to go instead of attempting a long field goal on a 4th and 2. And a timeout, Kansas City. Andy Reid calls his first timeout. Interesting call for Tom Coughlin. I mean, this is pushing the limits of Josh Brown's leg. Brown missed a 38-yarder last week, so I don't know if the confidence is at an all-time high right here. Unique call for Coughlin.
Well, I think that's what it boils down to, is the confidence in your kicker. You're sitting at about 52 yards right about now. Coughlin seemingly right here saying, I got more trust in Eli Manning to pick it up than Josh Brown to make a 52-yarder. And, you know, interesting call. But I think Tom Coughlin got some information that he's making this decision with.
Well, some perspective, he hasn't attempted a 50-yard or longer field goal this year. He did hit a 51-yarder last year. That's all moved right now. Giants are going on a 4th and 2. Manning's got time. He's got Victor Cruz, who's got the first down. 19 seconds and counting. Giants not using their final timeout.
Now you're in a situation where you can take one shot at the end zone. If not, get it for your kicker.
They're just going to get a little closer to Cruz, who skirts out of bounds at about the 26-yard line. Dante Robinson was there, but what a terrific job by the Giants, turning this into a makeable field goal conversion now with 6 seconds to go.
Well, again, Coughlin shows the faith in Eli Manning. Go get me a little closer for our kicker, Chris Brown. And now he's going to send his kick unit out there.
Are they not going to do that? They have one timeout left. And now Coughlin calls the timeout. And so Josh Brown will have a chance to tie this game up at the break. You think of where the Giants were a week ago. They were getting mauled in Carolina. They lost that game 38-0. And Tom Coughlin told us the first thing that he did, and when he went in and addressed his team, I said right after it, stay together. They've stayed together in this first half, and now a chance to tie it. Be a 44-yard field goal attempt for Josh Brown. This would tie it going into the break. Weatherford on the hold. It's hooking. No good. Eli Manning did everything possible to make that in Josh Brown's range. And now we know why Tom Coughlin didn't try the earlier field goal from 53.
It's a kick you got to make. I mean, the Giants, you just mentioned it, coming off a tough loss. They're 0-3. You got to do the little things well. That's a very makeable kick, and he just hooks it. Got to have that faith in your kicker.
Well, 2 seconds left in the half. I think that was Andy excited. I'm not all that sure. Sometimes it's hard to tell with him. And the Chiefs will just come out and take a knee to the ground here. Happy to go to the break. Up 10-7. Good first half here in Kansas City. The Chiefs took the early lead on the touchdown of Sean McGrath. Victor Cruz with a 69-yard touchdown to come back for the Giants, but that's a tough miss going into the break.
Well, and really what it is, it's the difference between 3-0, 0-3. You're doing all the things right in all phases, and the Chiefs have been excellent on special teams. The Giants have struggled.
Eli Manning will take it to the break as it's 10-7 Kansas City. I think when you look at this game, yeah, Kansas City has a couple of sacks, but I think this offensive line for the Giants job has done a pretty good job considering they're playing without 2 of their starters here.
Well, they've done a decent job. You're going against the NFL sack leaders in the Kansas City Chiefs. Bob Sutton, who throws a lot at you. I think for the most part they've done a nice job. We've seen a couple communication breakdowns, and they're going to have to get that straightened up. But I believe Kevin Gilbride's done a wonderful job helping that offensive line out with the way they're calling the game.
They've also done a nice job controlling Jamal Charles in the run game. He's had a couple of catches, including a big 31-yarder in the pass game, but they've held him off the board run-wise, and that's helped them.
Absolutely. That's what they wanted to do. Take Charles out of the game, put it in Alex Smith's hands. We'll see if they can continue that in the second half.
And so we go to the break here in Kansas City after a good first half of football. Chiefs in front of this one, 10-7, as they look for a 4-0 start. Giants trying to avoid going to 0-4 here and trying to take that momentum of a good first half. We take a look at Arrowhead Stadium here in Kansas City. The aerial coverage today in these gorgeous shots being provided by MetLife on a fantastic day in KC. The Tailgaters were here at 6 in the morning, and they've seen a good half of football, and they've seen their Chiefs go into the break with the 10-7 lead. We're coming back with more after this. At the break, it's the Chiefs 10, the Giants 7 as we get set for the second half kick. Remember, you could follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. The Giants won the opening kickoff and deferred, so they will get the ball here, John. But I'm curious the mindset, the difference. Instead of being tied at 10, Josh Brown misses the 44-yard field goal at the break.
Well, they're staying in the football game, you know, and that's important. You're going to have a game go down to the wire, which is what the Giants want on the road. In a place like Kansas City, you got to have trust in your kicker. So he's your kicker. Gabe Stite, you got to send him out there again. We'll see if they can stay in that position and if Brown can deliver.
And Brown missed a 38-yard field goal last week, so his personal psyche coming down if this is a close game late. Succop will kick it off to start quarter number 3. Wilson's going to take it out. Nice cut. David Wilson has good blocking. And I'm not sure I cut it back inside there. He had some room all the way to the far sideline. Anthony Sherman made the stop, but that could have been a bigger return.
Absolutely, and that's something Tom Coughlin talked about. Succop does not kick him out of the end zone, as we see so much in the NFL these days. You see he makes a great cut, gets outside of Chad Hall, and it looks like he's got room if he just goes and trusts that speed. Tom Coughlin was hopeful that David Wilson could break one, had an opportunity that he let get away right there.
It's really strange from a guy that's known for his speed, but nonetheless, Giants are started off on their own 26 here in the half. Darrell Scott starts at tailback and gets it, and gets met immediately. That's Derek Johnson, his 7th tackle of the game. Look at some of the numbers from the first half. And the Giants offense, we got the big play to Cruz, 69-yard touchdown. Try to get the running game going. Hasn't really been there, but the Giants on third down only 1 of 6. They've been in 3 third and longs. That bears watching in the second half. 2nd and 11. Manning to Cruz, and Cruz can't make the catch. It's incomplete. Let's get an update on the field from Erin Andrews.
Kevin had a chance to speak with Tom Coughlin coming out of the half. He was pretty happy with this patchwork offensive line he has going here in the first half. He said, look, we had an opportunity to run the ball, release the ball quickly. He was very happy with the way that 2-minute drill went for the Giants. I asked him what his final message was for his team, and he started pounding his hands together saying, we got to take advantage of some of these opportunities. We got to stay together and play together. I was pumped up. I was looking for you guys. The chest pump there.
He was pumped up in our meeting yesterday, I'll tell you that. And teams come to play today. That hasn't been an issue. This an issue. And Eli Manning communication, this place was loud. Now this is the issue, John. This is the 4th time they're in a 3rd and very long today.
Absolutely. And when you have a patchwork offensive line with starters out, key starters out, that's not the position you want to be in. Eli talked about it. You got to stay out of these long yardage situations. You see the offensive line today. Nice job on the whole, but some miscommunication right there. Cordell and Booth say we both got him. Nope, no one's got him. And then not a wise thing to be blocking Tamba Hali with tight ends. You better put an offensive lineman on him and somebody else as well. Tamba Hali, a relentless pass rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs. You got him on one end and Justin Houston, the sack leader, on the other end.
Here comes a safety blitz. Manning in trouble. Just throwing it deep down the field for Randall. And he almost made the catch but can't come down with it. Quentin Demps was there on the coverage. So was Marcus Cooper. And the Giants will punt it away.
You see the blitz. It's going to come from the top of your screen here. Nice job on the hole picking it up. Great job by Scott. Eli works the pocket. And then he told us he trusts Randall when he can throw the ball up that he'll go compete for it. He does exactly that. A nice job by Cooper getting the ball out of there.
Weatherford on the boot. And it's wobbling out of bounds. Not Weatherford's best, and the Chiefs will have good field position at their 35 for their first possession of the 3rd quarter. Kansas City 10, New York 7.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time.
A fantastic fall afternoon in Kansas City. Not a cloud in the sky and an awful lot of red in the seats as fans looking to see if their Chiefs can go to 4-0. First down, Kansas City. Here's Jamal Charles. He cuts it back and dives across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Charles on his first carry as the Chiefs trying to get him going. Giants did a nice job against the run.
The Giants did a really nice job bottling him up, but who would have thought it's Sean McGrath that's hurting him, the bearded one. 4 catches, 44 yards, his first career touchdown. Alex Smith having another efficient day for the Chiefs at the quarterback position.
That is McGrath, number 84. Remember, he went out last drive of the half and back in there. Also, Eric Fisher, their right tackle, number 1 overall draft pick, is out with a possible concussion. As Smith fires far sideline and has a catch. It's Avery over there against Aaron Ross. So with Eric Fisher out, Donald Stevenson, by the way, number 79 in the game.
See Avery working against Aaron Ross. I'm questioning if they should throw that flag because I don't think he ever has control of that football. Ball's not in control right there. Ross gets it out. I think that's an incomplete catch. We'll see if Tom Coughlin reviews it.
I'm looking. He's going for the ankle for the red flag. Is he going to throw it?
There he goes.
Yeah, he is. Good call, John. Tom Coughlin will challenge this call, and that replay
New York
certainly
is
looks.
challenged, but the pass was incomplete. Timeout.
While they look at this, we will take a break. First challenge of the year for Tom Coughlin. His Giants trailing by 3. Here's Terry
After
McFarland.
review, the receiver never controlled the ball prior to it touching the ground. The pass is incomplete. It'll be 4th and 4 on the 41-yard line. Please set the game clock to 13 minutes, 15 seconds. New York is not charged with a timeout.
Good call, John Lynch. Saw that one right away. And you know, when Tom Coughlin challenges a play, he's usually right. 43% all-time on challenges for Coughlin, 5th best all-time. So he usually gets it right. And by the way, it's not 4th down. It's now 3rd and 4. 3rd and 4.
Well, if that's a good percentage, they're like weathermen. 43% makes you good. Tops all time.
Baseball, you hit the ball 30% of the time and you're good. So it's all relative, John. It's all relative. So after the incompletion, it's a 3rd and 4 for KC. They're 5 of 9 on 3rd down today. And Smith has McGrath for a 1st down and then some, upended inside the 40. Aaron Ross made the tackle, but Sean McGrath, the 3rd string tight end, has been huge. It's a 20-yard gain.
You know what happens in this league? Quarterbacks start growing their confidence for players when they make plays. And Sean McGrath, he's making plays for Alex Smith. Alex Smith says, I'm going to come right back to you. JPP gets in there. Pierre-Paul with a great rush. But Alex Smith, as he's done so well, getting the ball out of his hands quickly.
He's working on Donald Stevenson, who's in there for Eric Fisher, the #1 overall pick. Get it blocked up. Smith going deep. Avery diving, can't make the catch. Amukamara was on the coverage, but the Chiefs taking some shots.
And you like to see that. We saw it in practice Friday. I thought they were coming. And it's almost like, hey, don't forget what got you here. You've been doing a great job protecting the football, but a shot like that, that's good for this offense. It backs the defense up. They have an effect even if they're incomplete.
Second and 10. Trying to get Jamal Charles going, and he can't go anywhere. Flag flies as well. Pierre-Paul made the tackle, but Amukamara came in the backfield to mess things up. And this is going to go against Kansas City.
Holding offense number 76. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So not only do you get beat, but you get the penalty too.
See Albert right there shaking his head. That's a double whammy right there, as you said, Kevin. He gets beat, and they get him on the penalty.
Surprised that they took that penalty. It's a big loss. Now they get to replay the down at least. Anyway, 2nd and 20. As Albert, the 6th-year left tackle out of Virginia, former 1st-round draft pick. Blitz picked up, looking for Bo. Intercepted. Amukamara's got it. 2nd turnover of the year for Kansas City. Their 2nd one today. Great coverage by Amukamara.
Tremendous coverage by Amukamara. That's a big task guarding Dwayne Bowe, and he's been excellent all day. Just fighting, competing. Square, gets inside, and then goes and fights for that ball. That's big-time cornerback play by Amukamara.
Well, John, I think back to last year. Alex Smith has played well today. It's the 1st interception for him. He's got 172 yards. But the last really bad game that Alex Smith had was against these Giants last October. The Giants got pressure. They sacked him 4 times. And they picked him off 3 times in that game. Now it's on Eli Manning and David Wilson, who's get that 1st down carry. This is last October for Alex Smith facing this Giants D.
They were all over Alex Smith. They pressured him all day. He had a quarterback rating down in the 40s. There's Pierre-Paul all over him. Alex Smith, a guy who doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. They got him 3 times. We asked Justin Tuck the secret. He said, stop the run, put it in his hands. They've done a nice job of that here today.
And that's Smith's 1st pick of the year. Wilson again is going to work his way about a yard shy of a 1st down. Tyson Jackson, 4th year out of LSU, on the stop.
Well, the run game for these inexperienced offensive linemen that are playing in the interior, for Cordell, for Brewer, that's their best friend right now. And Kevin Gilbride understands that, and he's playing to it. Staying committed to the run. Hasn't been wildly effective, but they're staying with it.
saw that number against Smith. Now, granted, he didn't play the second half of last year. Kaepernick started, but it's still impressive. Giants haven't been good on third down today. Their only conversion on a 1 of 7 came on a 3rd and 1 like this. Wilson on the pitch, and I don't think he got it. Hakeem Jordan was there, so was Justin Houston.
That's just big-time defense. You're going to see Eric Berry fly up to put the edge on the defense, take the legs out of Pasco, and there comes Houston, Jordan, Cooper. That's great team defense by the Kansas City Chiefs.
4th time the Giants have gone 3 and out. Here's Weatherford, who has not had a terrific day punting in perfect conditions. McCluster's going to let it go, and it goes into the end zone. So the Giants get a big interception from Prince Amukamara. Defense has done their job today. Offense can't convert. Chiefs still up 10-7.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chrysler, imported from Detroit.
10-7 Chiefs. Their football on the 20-yard line. And this Giant defense has done an excellent job against the run. Jamal Charles today, 8 carries, 20 yards, considering the fact they allowed 194 rush yards against Carolina. Smith, heavy pressure, but he's got a wide open McCluster. He gets back up, but he's got plenty for a first down. Heavy pressure, and Smith hung in there for a 17-yard gain.
What the really good quarterbacks in this league do is they know how to work the pocket. You're going to see the play action, and here comes the pressure. Antrell roll upfield. What's he do? He steps up in the pocket, gives McCluster time to work the zone, and then delivers a strike to Dexter McCluster. Good quarterbacking by Alex Smith.
McGrath in motion. Here's Jamal Charles. And again, there's just no running room. Giants played it well. We've got a game break. Kurt Menefee has it.
New quarterback in Minnesota. Same old Adrian Peterson in the backfield. His 2nd touchdown of the day. He's already over 100 yards midway through the 3rd quarter. And they've got a 10-point lead in London over the Steelers, looking for win number 1 on the season. Kevin, John, and Aaron.
You know, Kurt, it's funny, and when you have a guy that just runs like that, the quarterback always looks good when you're Adrian Peterson. But he's had a breakout day, especially after it started for him. He had that 78-yard touchdown run to start the season, but he's been pretty quiet since. Smith looking for Charles to break free, and awkward try on the catch. The throw was behind Charles, who couldn't make it. Pasinger on the coverage, but Smith may have had him if he let him.
Alex Smith wants Jamal Charles on the little roll pass right away. But you see these guys are so in sync. Jamal Charles knows it's not there. I'm going to turn it up. And that's really just good coverage by Pasinger. That's one of the things Pasinger does well, is he moves extremely well for a linebacker. He's making some plays today.
Number 32, Cyrus Gray, is in the game for Kansas City. 2nd year back of Texas A&M. Time for Smith, and nice tackle out there by Terrell Thomas. McCluster on the catch, but Thomas makes the play, and for him it's just a pleasure to be back on the field. This is a guy that sustained 3 ACL surgeries on his right knee.
Well, so critical if you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw them just torch the Philadelphia Eagles with yards after the catch on 3rd down specifically last week. The Giants have been right on it, let them catch it, but then tackle them, and they've done that extremely well here today.
Giants defense has been a different unit. Dustin Colquitt, his 2nd punt since he got hurt. And that one looks just fine. It's Randall taking it. And Ruben Randall turns it upfield and gets smashed out of bounds at around the 20. Hakeem Jordan, 46-yard punt, 9-yard return by Ruben Randall. Andy Reid looking to get the Chiefs to 4-0, but the Giants providing pretty good resistance right now. 10-7 Chiefs leading the Giants here in the 3rd. Giants with a 1st and 10. Trying to get some offense going. They've really had the big play to Victor Cruz, a 69-yard touchdown run, and that's been about it. I mean, a turnover, one play over 20 yards, that was the bomb to Cruz. 4 3-and-outs. They have done, though, is that keep him in check.
Yeah, they've done a nice job. He's the sack leader. He's been wreaking havoc on this league, and the Giants offensive line doing a very nice job keeping him in check, as well as Dontari Poe.
Giants bring Louis Murphy into the game. He's their 4th wideout, goes top of your screen. Pressure from Holly. Manning in trouble and just throws it away. Now a flag coming on the play. They're going to get Manning for grounding.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 10. Ball be placed. A 10-yard penalty. Loss of down. 3rd down.
That's Tamba Hali working against Brandon Myers. They tried this earlier. A tight end can't block Tamba Hali. We see Eli Manning. He is going to escape the pocket. He's outside of the pocket. He gets it back to the line of scrimmage. I'm not sure on that call. Receiver in the area. I'm not sure on that one.
I could see if Cruz broke deep, but he was coming back to the ball. That's a tough call against the Giants. And now this is an impossible situation with the crowd going berserk. Manning gets a lot of time throwing it up to nobody. Quentin Dempsey is going to pick it off. Looking for some blocking and getting it. Demps finally is going to fall down at the Giant 45. Demps with the pick, his 1st of the year, 15-yard return, Chiefs in business. Manning was looking for somebody, but all he found was a Chief. Kansas City up by 3. It's a 9th interception on the year for Eli Manning, which is a ton in week 4. It leads the league, but how many are his fault, John?
Not a lot of them. And right there was a miscommunication. Don't know whose fault it was, but really that was just a long punt for the New York Giants.
Second drive, the Chiefs have started in Giants territory off the Giants' 15th giveaway, worst in the league. Jamal Charles will start it off.
A lot of what the Chiefs do, and here's the intended target, Ruben Randall. He's going to run, come inside, and then he's reading that safety. The safety goes deep. Randall sits. Eli thinks he's going deep, though, and it's an easy pick for Demps, who just basically can fair catch that football.
2nd and 7, and going to have a completion. It is caught, indeed, by Dwayne Bowe. Alex Smith, we've been talking about him. He's very safe and, you know, he's going to throw it in the open man, but he's throwing into traffic today.
Yeah, he's throwing into traffic, and he's trusting Dwayne Bowe, who's working against Trumaine McBride. Aaron Ross is out. Says they're working on his back. And Alex Smith identifies the new guy in the lineup and goes right after him.
Remember, the Giants playing without Corey Webster, their starting cornerback, their best cornerback. So each team without their top corner today. Smith going over the middle and bobbled around and incomplete. That one looked like it stayed off the ground forever. Looking for Charles, and now did Roll get it? Did he get it? It was up off the ground for a bit, off the bounce. Let's see if Roll actually kept it off the ground.
I think he has it.
I think he's got it.
I think he has it. It looks like the David Tyree pinning it up against the side of his helmet. See, the ball's up in the air. It's going to ride off Bowe's foot and leg right there. Unbelievable concentration. I don't think the ball ever hits the ground.
That's incredible for Antrell Roll, and that looks like a pick to me, and they give it to the Giants, but hang on. Because they review everything on a turnover in this league now. That's the only question right there. I mean, the tip of the ball doesn't get down, but right before, John, the tip, when you kind of lose sight of it.
And remember, it's got to be conclusive. Was ruled an interception on the field. Conclusive evidence to overturn it. It's obvious what the crowd here in KC watching the video thinks. But it's more important what Terry McAulay thinks. And from what I see, he can't overturn it.
I agree. I mean, I don't think from there, because the one great shot, you see the tip of the ball off the ground, but there's one point you lose sight of the ball. And let's see.
It hit the shin of Dwayne Bowe. Hits the left hand.
Right there.
And you can't tell, though, whether it's hitting the ground. Herzlich does a great job of covering him up.
The call on the field is an interception. And so because of that, I think this is going to be pretty hard to overturn.
Unless Terry McAulay can see something I'm not seeing, I think that stands as an interception for Antrel Rolle.
What an athletic play by Antrel Rolle, who intercepted Alex Smith twice in that game at San Francisco last year. I mean, think about this. After the interception by Manning, here are the Chiefs looking to really take command of this game up a field goal. And now if the Giants get the ball back here and finally get something going, this is a big review. Think about Antrel Rolle. Alex Smith the last 2 years. Hold on.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
18th career interception for Antrel Rolle. And think about this. The last 2 years, Alex Smith has been intercepted 12 total times, 3 of them by Antrel Rolle.
Antrel Rolle, a leader of this team, talked a lot this week, and he's backing it up with his actions on the field here today.
Manning looking for Cruz, who slipped and fell and tried to get back up and couldn't make the catch. Now we get some discussion. Tamba Hali was hot at something.
I want you to look at Marcus Cooper there. We saw Dante Robinson filling in for Brandon Flowers get beat early. They've turned to the rookie from Rutgers. He's done a tremendous job in coverage one-on-one outside.
It's a draw to Wilson, who runs into his own man and now has nowhere to go. Just looking for something was David Wilson, but he ran into the back of Will Beatty. He's only got a yard. And Giants is trying hard to run the ball, but they just can't get anything going.
They aren't, but I think they have to continue. Otherwise, you're exposing this young offensive line, and that's exactly what you do in this 3rd and long situation. You expose them. Bob Sutton is very creative in his defenses. They throw a lot at you, and here it comes on 3rd down.
Giants have been putrid on 3rd down today, 1 of 9. They've had 4 3rd and longs, 2 that they failed to convert. Manning's going deep for Randall, and he can't make the play. And again, it was the rookie from Rutgers, Cooper, on the coverage.
It's Marcus Cooper. Al Harris, their assistant defensive back coach, who I played with in Tampa, he said, John, you're going to like this guy. He gets up, he competes. He was waived by San Francisco. They pick him up, and he's out playing some ball, covering wide receivers and good ones at that, man-to-man, and getting the job done.
Cooper was a wide receiver at one point at Rutgers and turned into a quarterback, so the position's still very new. He's doing a great job. And Weatherford to punt. This is best of the day, McCluster. Ooh, hard shot to McCluster. And I think one more time that was to Montre Moore, who was in there. 56-yard punt, 13-yard return. Moore's been great on special teams. Bradford got there first, though. Alan Bradford, the initial hit. He's happy. Hey, Fox tonight, do you have what it takes to survive the return of Animation Domination? It's 2 epic hours that'll give all your senses a workout. Don't miss season premiere of Animation Domination Favorites. It all starts when Kristen Wiig guest stars with The Simpsons tonight on Fox.
Kevin, you got to give some kudos to this Chiefs defense. 2 turnovers now, followed by 2 3-and-outs for the Chiefs defense. And the Eli Manning in this Giants offense, you've got to take advantage of these opportunities. They have not been able to.
Chiefs up by 3, late 3rd. And that pass took forever to get to Avery, who looked like he was open initially, but Tremaine McBride in there for Aaron Ross makes the play.
Alex Smith, it's clear his intentions right now. He's got a young cornerback who's filling in for the fill-in, and he's going after him. Tremaine McBride understands that the only way you put a chill on that is to go make a play, and he does.
We showed you that game the last time against the Giants last year, where the Giants rolled in San Francisco 26-3. Lions D is holding their own today. On a 2nd and 10. They set up a screen to Sherman, and Sherman spins Linval Joseph out to the 46-yard line to bring up a 3rd down. Kurt Menefee has our latest game break.
And it's a bit of a comeback for the Baltimore Ravens, down 20-7 at Buffalo. Torrey Smith's 26-yard touchdown makes it a 6-point contest midway through the 3rd quarter. Kevin, John, and Aaron.
Kurt, thanks. Linval Joseph, who made that tackle, is down, hasn't gotten up yet for the Giants. John, a couple scores surprising me today besides that one. Houston up 20-6 on Seattle. Detroit laying it on Chicago 30-6. Jim Schwartz only 1-7 against Chicago as the Lions head coach.
Bears haven't been 4-0 for a long time, and I think everybody knows with the Seattle Seahawks, they are tough to beat up there in Seattle. Can they go on the road against the big boys and play? And Houston saying, not so fast, Seattle.
By the way, Cleveland, everyone thought they were giving up with the Trent Richardson trade. They beat Minnesota last week. They're up on the Bengals 10-3 in the 3rd this week. You never do really know, do you? 3rd and 4 for Alex Smith and company. Going far side and nothing doing there. Tremaine McBride, terrific coverage on Dwayne Bowe.
Good pressure by Cullen Jenkins up front. Head coach called from it. We haven't seen it consistently, but watch right up the middle. Cullen Jenkins going to continue to work and get in Alex Smith's face. And Tremaine McBride the last couple of times stepping up to the challenge. Doesn't go for the double move by Bowe. Alex Smith having a tough time against this New York Giants defense.
Giants have partially blocked one punt today, and don't forget Colquitt got hurt on that, so keep an eye on the Chiefs punter. This one a beauty. It's Ruben Randall at the 10. And Randall gets belted across the 20, up in the air for 4.5 seconds. A 54-yard punt by Colquitt, who seems just fine. Anthony Sherman on the tackle, so the Giants take over looking for some kind of offense, trailing by a field goal. Coming up next, America's Game of the Week. Chip Kelly's Eagles take on Peyton Manning and the Broncos. Or it's RG3, the winless Redskins, heading to Oakland, face the Raiders. Cowboys and Chargers out in San Diego. Our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader continues right here next on Fox. Along with John Lynch and Aaron Andrews, I'm Kevin Burkhardt in Kansas City. 3-0 Chiefs leading the 0-3 Giants 10-7, 3:15 to go, 3rd quarter. Giants, a little draw play. It's not going to get very far. They give it to Darrell Scott, and Mike DeVito, the one-time Jet who followed Bob Sutton over here, makes the tackle.
This Kansas City defense has been so impressive all year. They harass quarterbacks. They get the turnovers. And they're back at it today, doing a great job keeping Eli Manning and company in check.
Manning coming for Nix, who adjusts beautifully to make the catch. And he's out of bounds up to the 44. Penalty flag back at the quarterback.
10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Hakeem Nicks got to be wondering what he has to do to catch a pass. Last week, just 1 target. But that time the Giants couldn't contain Tamba.
You're going to see Beatty working against Tamba Hali up at the top of your screen. What a catch, though. One-hand catch by Hakeem Nicks. And you see Beatty had a tough day last week against Greg Hardy. Tamba Hali, great pass rushers. Not necessarily always sacks. Sometimes it's the flags that they draw.
Giants gave Will Beatty a $38 million contract. He hasn't played up to it. Set up a screen, and it's dropped by Scott, and he could have went someplace. Giants set that up well, but Scott dropped it.
I tell you, you feel for Eli because the simplest of plays, the screen pass, has been an adventure this year. You look at the very first play of the offensive season against the Cowboys, interception on a screen pass. The young running backs they're having to live with. Andre Brown out, no more Ahmad Bradshaw. they're paying for not having that experience at the running back position.
Third down and 17. Got to get to the 31. Pocket collapsing. Manning throws, and we got a catch. And that one is going to be close, right on the marker. It's Victor Cruz. The spot important here. As Cruz already over 100 yards. It's a 16-yard gain.
We see Cruz, the favorite wide receiver of Eli Manning. That sure is a catch. Remember, the line is unofficial.
He got a good spot, though, John.
Yeah, he did. Dante Robinson touches him there. Cruz smartly rolls forward, but going to be interesting to see if they challenge this spot.
He got a better spot, I thought. I mean, look where that ball is when he's down. He's not at the yard marker, and this ball is. Now let's see if it's enough. Wonder if Andy Reid sees that and throws a challenge.
He's got the flag out in his hand right there. There's Big Red throwing Little Red.
That was great.
We got a catch by the referee.
That was fantastic. Just a little toss.
Kansas City is challenged, but the runner did not reach the line of game.
Our yellow line is not official. It's just past the 30-yard line.
Now, he's not down till Robinson touches him. The yellow line is not official, but we're always pretty close. I think this is overturned. I don't think he got it.
Yeah, they have him closer to that 31, and I think it's closer to that 30. I believe it's going to be just short.
Great shots today on a fantastic afternoon in Kansas City for football. Just couldn't get a better day. Aerial coverage provided by MetLife. And John, this has been something. I mean, we got here at 9 in the morning and it was loud in the parking lot. We did the open of the show, couldn't even hear you talk. And it's been fun. I mean, they're sensing some winning for them from their Chiefs for the first time in a while.
Believe me, I played 4 years in this division, the AFC West. No place louder than Kansas City. Seattle gives them a run for their money, but when they're playing good football here, this is a wonderful environment to watch football. And here's Terry McAuliffe.
After review, the runner was down at the 30.5-yard line, short of the line of game. It'll be 4.5 yards. Philadelphia will not be charged for the timeout.
Great challenge by Andy Reid. So each coach has used a challenge to perfection, and the Giants trailing 10-7 with 2 minutes and 6 seconds to go in this third quarter. Have to think going to punt it away. Their defense has done a nice job today.
You could say 0-3, you got to go for it. I think they're right in this game. Remember what they said. We want to be in this game in the fourth quarter. They're in this game. This is a move by Tom Coughlin that says, defense, I'm trusting you. You're playing good football. I'm showing some faith in you. I think it's the move you've got to make backed up.
Look at the difference of the feel of this game right now, though. Yeah, they're in it, but that 44-yard field goal missed by Brown at the half certainly changes things from a Kansas City perspective. It's McCluster backing up at the 11. Dexter McCluster! Look at the moves! Return! Touchdown, Kansas City!
Was putting his staff together. One of the first things he did, he went and got Dave Taub, an excellent special teams coach who was at the Chicago Bears, and it's paid dividends this year. This is how you win football games. Dexter McCluster in space. He's a nightmare. He breaks tackles, and he goes the distance. Special teams has been outstanding for the Chiefs all year long.
Second career punt return touchdown for McCluster. And the extra point is up and good. That was electric. The spin move, the stutter step, the jump cut. Fourth longest in Chiefs history.
Tell you what, when Andy Reid took over this job, one of the things he's very forthright in saying, hey, the cupboard was not bare. There was some talent on this football team, and one of those talented football players is Dexter McCluster. I think what Andy Reid's doing a tremendous job is finding ways to utilize all this talent on this roster.
That spin move at the beginning of that return was incredible. You know, Weatherford had a tough start to the day. Did he actually outkick the coverage there?
I don't know. That had good height on it as well. Demontre Moore was playing gunner position outside. Tough tackle in space. Saw him block the punt earlier. Once he was by that, Dexter McCluster in space, that's a tough challenge. He takes it the distance.
Andy Reid took over this program after 14 years with the Eagles doing personnel stuff as well. He's just the coach here, and when he came in, you know, the losing atmosphere has been tough around here, and he said everyone seemed like they were a bit uptight. I can't roll like that. They're having fun. Tom Coughlin's bunch, not so much.
They are having fun here. The crowd's having fun. Talk about that environment, having fun, but the other part of the environment with Andy Reid, the culture. Andy Reid's back to coaching football. It was a beautiful thing being at their practice the other day. We stopped and looked at one point, and it seemed like every coach on the field had a player they were teaching. Andy Reid says, you're not coaches, you're teachers. Sounds a lot like Bill Walsh, who I had the great fortune of playing for at Stanford, and it's working here in Kansas City.
Succop will kick it off as the Chiefs are up 10. And Wilson thought about it, but Brandon Jacobs said no. The difference between losing and winning, being undefeated and winless, a small margin. And Tom Coughlin not thrilled with his punter Steve Weatherford today. Meanwhile, Alex Smith trying to get his Chiefs to 4-0. Is he in? Yeah.
Frankly, Kevin, the difference in this game today has been special teams. We talked about the missed field goal by Brown before the half. And listen to this crowd.
What an atmosphere. 1st and 10 for Eli Manning. He's got time coming near side for Nix, and what a break on the ball by Marcus Cooper. The rookie has been outstanding today.
Well, Cooper has earned himself some playing time. I don't care when Brandon Flowers comes back, whatnot. They like the young kid. He's gone out. He's made plays. He's out there competing exactly like they said he would. The young man's playing a heck of a football game.
Second and 10. Over the middle to Cruz, and Cruz breaks one tackle and dives forward for what should be a Giants first down. 8th catch of the day for Victor Cruz. We have a game break. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, it's been this kind of day for Jay Cutler and the Bears. He gets sacked by Ndamukong Suh. Ball comes out. Cutler's also got 3 interceptions as well. Nick Fairley turns it into a touchdown. All Lions so far. Kevin, John, and Aaron.
The Lions bidding to go 3-1. That would be impressive. Here's a draw to David Wilson, who's got some space to roll. First down, still on his feet up at the 45. David Wilson finally with some daylight. Kendrick Lewis made the tackle, but a 15-yard run.
And remember, Kevin, so many differences between winning and losing. Right before that punt, what was it? It was the challenge by Andy Reid that overturned the first down. And here we go.
That's the first down of this half for the Giants with 30 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Manning's going to unload, looking for Cruz. Can't make the play. It was Nix, excuse me. Sean Smith on the coverage, and Manning and Nix, the connection is just not there.
Well, we saw a wonderful one-handed catch, but you can't do it every time. Get that second hand out there. Go for it with 2 hands. Eli's putting it on these receivers. They've got to deliver as well. Nix puts himself in good position. Go with two hands. Fundamental football, and you got yourself a touchdown.
Feeling around the Giants is that Hakeem Nicks, after the foot surgery, the knee surgery, is getting back to his old self. I don't quite see it just yet. Second and 10. Pocket collapsing, and Wilson gets decked as he gets his hands on the ball. Wilson got hit by Eric Berry, the explosive safety who had his eyes on him the whole way.
Watch Tamba Hali right here working against Beatty. We hear so much about Justin Houston. Look at him collapse the pocket on the way to Eli Manning. He is a relentless football player. Bob Sutton, Andy Reid said he sets the standard for how hard you play as a defender. Tamba Hali, an incredible football player.
One thing, though, Kevin Gilbride told us yesterday, the one thing we're trying to emphasize is chipping on the way out of the backfield. Didn't happen. 3rd and 10. Manning on the run and incomplete. He looked for his tight end, Brandon Myers. Nothing doing. It was Eric Berry on the coverage.
Eric Berry really coming into his own as a football player. First-round draft choice out of Tennessee. Tremendous in coverage. And Brandon Flowers, he's hurt, but he's giving his guys a nice hand for job well done.
Well, there's McCluster, who just returned 189 yards for a touchdown moments ago. Final 12 seconds of the 3rd quarter. And he was in the end zone. That was close. Are they going to call a touchback? Did he get back in? Get the feet back in? He did not. Touchback. That's the end of the 3rd quarter here, as we see Jernigan trying to keep it in. He did not reestablish. It's the Chiefs up 17-7 on the Giants. NFL on Fox returns after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. 4th quarter, here we go. Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City as the Chiefs look to go 4-0 for the first time since 2003. They've got the 17-7 lead and the football. Here's Jamal Charles to start things off. Gets to the corner, gets to the 25 from Mark Herzlich, makes the tackle. Penalty flag, too, far side of the field.
There's a flag on the play.
Holding, offense number 76. 10-yard penalty for.
That's on Brandon Albert. John, this Chiefs defense, especially in this half, has stymied the Giants. They've held them to 56 yards, and even after a couple of turnovers, have held their ground.
Absolutely. They've been outstanding. Really, both defenses have been good. Remember, this has been special teams really been the difference. This Giants defense, their effort's been admirable here today.
Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator, coming over for the Chiefs, made a difference. But yeah, you're right. This Giants defense has certainly kept them in the game. Special teams, the difference. Charles on the draw. Not much. Gain of 2. Justin Tuck tripped him up.
Justin Tuck's been really active today. I said you could just see it in his eyes. He was motivated to come out and play a special game, and he's been all over. Hasn't showed up in the form of sacks, but he's been all over the field today, playing with great passion out there.
Giants have really shut down Jamal Charles. 11 carries, 25 yards rushing. He's a guy that had 172 total yards last week against Philadelphia. Get it to him this time in space. Nice move across the 20, and Charles nears the 25-yard line. Tremaine McBride, Justin Tuck there, but Charles with a move, and we have an injured Giant. It's Tuck.
We talked about how much they trust Charles as a receiver out of the backfield, and look at him in space. He's strong, he's shifty. And Justin Tuck comes in at the end of that play, and
concern for Justin Tuck. Chiefs with a 10-point lead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. By Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. And by Microsoft Surface. Click in and do more.
Just a leisurely ride on the horse-driven cart down Main Street for these Chiefs. Looking to go 4-0. They've got a 3rd and 5 and a 10-point lead over the Giants early 4th quarter. Blitz is picked up. Smith on the run, and he's going to find McCluster, who lunges Where do they spot it? I think he's going to have the first down. He certainly thinks so. Antrel Roll out there on the coverage. That'll move the chains. And, you know, John, look at McCluster there showing you the exuberance. And this culture is quite different for KC as you look at the replay.
Absolutely. Fantastic job by Alex Smith extending the play, knowing he's got a favorable matchup. McCluster on the safety, Antrel Roll. It's just winning football. It's the way Alex Smith is playing. You talked about the exuberance, the culture change here. They're having fun, and they're doing things well.
Here is Charles, who cuts it up the field nicely, gets out to the 35-yard line. He picks up 5 yards for Spencer Pasinger. Makes the tackle. Jamal Charles, you know, we saw him on that last play when Tuck got hurt and left the field, coming out of the backfield, making the catch and the nifty moves. We asked him how he's become such a good wide receiver, John, and the answer may surprise everyone out there.
He plays 7-on-7 pickup football with all his buddies from University of Texas in Austin. I don't think that will make Andy Reid very happy, but that's how he hones his receiver skills.
Oh, man. He's running pretty good, too. Wide open up the middle with the room is Charles to midfield and more. Jamal Charles not only can catch it, he can run it. He's down to the 41 for Roll. Stopped him. It's a 24-yard run.
So they keep after you with the run. You're going to see Jamal Charles running behind that interior of the offensive line. A great block right there by Asamoah. And Jamal Charles does the rest. You get him space like that, he's going to deliver. A fantastic football player. And that's what this Chiefs offense has done so well. They've driven the ball in the fourth quarter. They eat clock, and they did it great last week. They're doing it great here today.
And some confusion here. Alex Smith, it looks like he's going to call a timeout and will. So the Chiefs call their first timeout of the half. They have been in control this second half. 11:15 to go in the game. 17-7, Kansas City in front. Chiefs have been very good at getting the lead and putting games away. Look what they did against Philadelphia last week. You know, the Eagles are trying to get back in the game. Chiefs wouldn't let them. I mean, they had 2 terrific fourth quarter drives for points, and they're trying to do the same here. Up 10 on the Giants. On a 1st and 10. It's Smith to Avery, incomplete. Tremaine McBride actually played well since Aaron Ross got hurt. You know, John, it's amazing. Seeing the Giants a couple of years ago, you would call Jason Pierre-Paul's name every 10 seconds. He was hurt last year, and he's just not there yet. He's not back.
No, he's not. And you know, sometimes you're physically back. It's just the mental process. It's that hurdle, and when it's your back, that's a tough thing to get through. And sometimes you don't have quite the explosion that makes him such a terrific player. But mentally, physically, it just does not seem like he's right.
Such a huge impact player. Trying to work back from back surgery as Charles has the carry. Short gain, Prince Amukamara on the stop. And Justin Tuck, by the way, went out earlier in this drive with this.
And it's good to see Justin Tuck back in the game. You see him on Tremaine McBride. That head go back. And tough man is Justin Tuck. Looks like one of those stingers. I've been there before. Does not feel good, Justin. He's a tough man right back in there for the New York Giants.
That's Tuck lined up at nose tackle on a 3rd and 9. Smith going to run it. And he's going to come up short down to the 35. It was Roll coming up with the tackle. Kurt Menefee has our latest game break.
Well, Seattle tried to do the comeback thing against Houston. Marshawn Lynch, easy 3-yard run. That made it a 7-point game. But Russell Wilson just picked off by the Texans defense. They will try to close it out with 4.5 minutes left. Kevin, John, and Aaron.
So Houston with the ball and the lead, 4:20 and ticking. Meanwhile, Ryan Succop's going to attempt a 53-yard field goal. His career long is 54. He's got a 51-yarder today. Colquitt the hole. And he's got it, but there's a flag on the field, so hang on. Let's sort out the penalty first. It's a 53-yard field goal if it counts. It'll count. The question is,
illegal formation. Defense had 7 men on one side of the ball.
that'll be a first.
5-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, there's a 4th and 4. That'll move the chains. Andy Reid will take those points off the board and try and run some more clock.
That's a new rule this year. They didn't want the overloads anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They got it. And that's really unacceptable. The little things that win and lose you football games, very clear, very distinct, the fine line between winning and losing in this game. The Chiefs are doing the little things. The Giants are not.
Josh Brown missed 44-yard field goal at the buzzer. An 89-yard punt return by Dexter McCluster. Punt's gone into the end zone from Steve Weatherford. And now this, special teams destroying the Giants today as the Chiefs with a 10-point lead looking for more. Stretch to Charles, and nothing doing. Late penalty comes in from backside. Sean Rogers, Mike Patterson.
Personal foul, clipping, offense number 79. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Called the clip on Donald Stevenson, and it comes late in the play. And it's really a good call on Mike Patterson right there. He's trying to get his head in front, but that's not a clean play. Can't do it anyway. And good call by Terry McAulay.
Well, that's a pretty big penalty because remember the Chiefs taking points off the board here. See if the Giants can make that one count. So now instead of being out to 30, 15 yards and a 1st and 25.
Remember Stevenson in for the rookie Fisher out with concussion-like symptoms.
Gonna throw it. He's got the backup tight end Brock, and he's got a first down. How about that, Kevin Brock? 25 yards, John Lynch.
And it starts with the play action. Look at the fake to Jamal Charles. That's going to suck these linebackers. Holds them for a second. Alex Smith with the tremendous touch to Brock. 3rd, 4th tight ends, doesn't matter. Alex Smith going to show some faith in him, and they've been big today.
That's incredible. The Chiefs' 4th tight end, their first 2 inactive today, and Brock makes the play. 2 catches and 27 yards. And don't forget they lost Tony Moeaki injury, and the Chiefs released him. 1st and 10 at the 20. It's Charles one more time.
Jamal Charles, the ball carrier.
I think the interesting thing you start to think about when you think about the Chiefs, remember this is a 2-14 team from last year. So a lot of people just happy that they're 4-0. But when you start thinking of their prospects moving forward, you know, that was a 3rd down and 9. They had a designed run to set up that 53-yard field goal. Can this team score enough points to keep up with the likes of the Denver Broncos in their own division? That's the big question, because I think everyone's expectations have moved from maybe an 8-8 team to now can they compete? Can they get to the playoffs? Can they do so?
They had 6 Pro Bowlers last year, John. 4 more Pro Bowlers than wins as Charles shifty in the backfield inside the 10. First down, Chiefs. And there's an injured Giant far side of the field. That does not look good. Is that Pierre-Paul? It is Jason Pierre-Paul. Oh, man.
See McGrath at the end of this play. Completely legal play. But he rolls up on that right knee of Jason Pierre-Paul.
Sponsored by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more.
Jason Pierre-Paul on the sidelines. 1st and goal for the Chiefs at the 9. Up by 10 in the 4th. And Charles can't find much.
Here's that play. You're going to see McGrath come across the formation. Pierre-Paul, you see him get the hands on McGrath, and then McGrath rolls up on him, that right knee. And it was a good sight to see Pierre-Paul up and at him. Nothing dirty about that play from the bearded one, Sean McGrath. Good, clean football. Pierre-Paul's got to protect himself. Fundamental things, and that's part of what's ailing this New York Giants. Next play, McGrath says right at you, right back at you. Kiwanuka says not so fast. Acts like a matador.
Alex Smith calls timeout. Doesn't like what he sees on a 2nd and goal. Second timeout for the Chiefs in this half. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Thanks to 2 Cleveland teens and former NFL linebacker, current Fox Sports 1 analyst Scott Fujita. Many children with cancer are enjoying pro football games today, and the goal for the 13,500 children that are diagnosed with cancer annually is to see this initiative grow in future years. If you're interested in supporting the cause, visit foxsports.com/foxsportssupports for more information. Here Paul testing out that knee on the sideline. But here are the critical plays of the game. 2nd and goal. Smith going to run it. And he's going to come up a couple yards short. Antrell Roll, Spencer Pasinger came over. 3rd and goal.
There's that hidden yardage once again. Alex Smith, if he sees grass, he's going to take it rather than force a football into coverage. See the linebacker split. Alex Smith sees the same thing and goes and takes advantage of it.
You almost forget, we always talk about his accuracy and things like that. He ran for over 1,000 yards in his 2 years at Utah. It's in his game plenty. 3rd and goal. Smith finds Charles. Touchdown, Kansas City. Second touchdown catch of the year for Jamaal Charles.
And watch him use Dexter McCluster as a decoy. You get everyone's attention over there. You kind of slip Jamaal Charles over to the right. And Alex Smith, an easy pitch and catch for the Kansas City Chiefs that are frankly making everything look easy this season.
Succop with the extra point attempt. And it's up and good. How about a 14-play, 80-yard drive, took up 9 minutes and 17 seconds, and they took a field goal off the board to get it done. Chiefs in control over the Giants. The Chiefs have beat the Cowboys with 4th quarter domination. They beat the Eagles with 4th quarter domination. And they're on their way to beating the Giants with 4th quarter domination.
They know how to close out games, and this offensive line has been criticized a little bit this season. Alex Smith says one thing. They relish the opportunity to close out games, and they did it once again.
Succop's kickoff taken by Wilson. Jamaal Charles, by the way, had that touchdown catch. How about him on the last drive? 7 carries, 43 yards, 2 catches, 15 yards. The guy is a finisher. And Eli Manning had the long touchdown pass to Victor Cruz from 69 yards, but he hasn't gotten a lot of help either.
He hasn't. He got help from Victor Cruz, but then countless other opportunities. Balls down the field that I think were catchable balls that guys aren't catching. Last week it was the offensive line that let them down. This week the receivers. Balls out there, plays to be made. They're not making them. Eli cannot do it alone.
Let's remember the Chiefs had a field goal, 53-yarder. Then the penalty. Andy Reid took it off the board. After that, they ran 5.5 more minutes off the clock. Here's Manning needing a big comeback. And he's going to take some free yardage up the gut before he's dragged down. Kurt Menefee has a game break.
Well, how about the Seattle Seahawks? They were down 20-3 at Houston at halftime, but they come all the way back. Richard Sherman picks off a bad throw from Matt Schaub, takes him 58 yards for the score. They're tied at 20, 30 seconds left. Kevin?
Here's Darrell Scott getting the call. And he's out to the 37. He's going to pick up 5. Alan Bailey made the stop. You know, the big question about Seattle is, can they win on the road? If they come back from 20-3 down to win, that'll be something.
You got another big one on the road next week against the Indianapolis Colts. We'll be there. Colts are playing lights out, led by Andrew Luck.
Second down. And Manning bounces one to Cruz. See the look of dejection on Manning, just looking to put something together. Oh, man, it's already that point?
Well, Jimmy Johnson stuck a fork in the Giants in our pregame show today. I don't know about bags on the heads, though.
And the Giants have put forth a great effort today, but they have not taken advantage of the big plays at key times. Special teams has killed them. This crowd is loud on a 3rd and 5. The draw is bobbled, fumbled, picked up Kansas City. Eric Berry was there. Darrell Scott couldn't handle the ball. Chiefs football. 16th giveaway of the year by the Giants.
And that's just sloppy. The running back position. Where is Ahmad Bradshaw? He's not there anymore. Eli puts it in the pocket. That ball, you gotta put your hands there. The quarterback puts it in there. That's elementary football. You close your hands down. Too many turnovers. Sloppy football for the Giants. The result is 0-4 and a dejected Eli Manning.
That tells the story. 1 for 13 on 3rd down. Chiefs looking to salt this one away with 4:41 to play, up 24-7. Jamal Charles. And he's going to be spun down at the line of scrimmage. Special teams, John, have been the story today.
Well, they have been. We saw the missed field goal by the Giants right before the half that would have equalized this game going into the half, and then a challenged call that was overturned that made the Giants punt, and Dexter McCluster takes it the distance. Special teams have been the difference for the Kansas City Chiefs today.
That is a great point. That Victor Cruz, a ball that was a half-yard short. Reed saw it through the flag, punted away, touchdown McCluster. 2nd and 11, Kansas City here. And as Charles gets a break, it's Niall Davis, the rookie from Arkansas, who gets the carry. And Davis the call. You know, you can't say enough about Andy Reid, and I think about what Jamal Charles told us about Andy Reid meeting with him on Friday. He said, you know, Reid, he's funny. Like, generally meaning he's funny. Here, though, it's a college system, but with grown men in the system, it's a family.
And he was talking about that family-like situation. He said it feels like the University of Texas. We're all enjoying coming to work, and that's something that the Chiefs didn't have the pleasure. They had a tumultuous season, things on and off the field, 2-14 season, tragedy off the field. They're having fun, and it's manifested itself in a 4-0 season.
Alex Smith hit as he throws, still connecting to Bo, who's on his feet, breaks a tackle, and he's in for 6. 34-yard touchdown, Kansas City, and the route is on.
Dwayne Bowe has been a little quiet this year. We asked Alex Smith. He said he won't be for long. And today, those words served prophetic. Dwayne Bowe busting out.
Alex Smith has 288 yards, 3 touchdowns today, 2 interceptions, and the Chiefs putting away another opponent in the 4th. Extra point by Suckup. The hold by Colquitt up and good. It's 31-7. And John, did the Giants come out to start this game better than last week? Yeah, but they've been outscored 69-7 the last 2.
There he is working against Terrell Thomas. Not much separation, but trusting in Dwayne Bowe, the big body. Alex Smith puts it on the money. And as Andy Reid said, go ahead, have some fun. Let your personality show. And the Chiefs are having a blast.
You watch tape all week on these teams. Is that one of the biggest differences you've seen, is Smith throwing into tighter windows today and believing in his receivers?
I think so. And I really believe that's something. You see Sean Rogers with the touch of class right there, helping up Alex Smith. But I think as they move forward, I talked about it. Okay, you go 4-0, your expectations have to change. And you got to think, hey, we're a playoff-type team. But believe me, to beat the Denver Broncos, to beat the big boys in this league, you're going to have to put points on the board. And that means throwing the ball downfield, sometimes throwing it into the tight windows. And we're seeing a little glimpse of that here today for the Kansas City Chiefs.
So how good are these Chiefs, John? I mean, it's 4-0 now. This is serious, and 4-0, and they're showing a lot on both sides of the ball. Their defense continues to be great. They've only allowed just over 11 points a game coming in. They've allowed 7 today. They're closing people out. How good is this team?
Here's what I tell you. The top end of their roster is very, very competitive. I think the depth of the roster. Can they stay injury-free? That's the key for them.
Michael Cox back to receive the kick. He drops. It's going to come out with it. And he's not going to come out very far. Can't even get back to the 10. For a complete recap of Week 4 in the NFL, as well as the battle for baseball's final playoff spots and the firing of Lane Kiffin, make sure to check out Jay and Dan. Fox Sports live tonight, every night, too, at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific on Fox Sports 1.
Talk about Lane Kiffin being fired. A lot of speculation already centering around the Denver Broncos and Jack Del Rio, their defensive coordinator, former Trojan. Is he the guy?
Well, the Chiefs looking to go 4-0 as Giants defense has really played well up until this point today. It's a little bit misleading. But the Giants are facing 0-4 in the face. Eli Manning's going to sling it out to Wilson, who makes the catch. And John, to put it in perspective, 0-4, the Giants, have they played better today than last week? I don't think there's any question. But the bottom line is they're about to be 0-4. There's only been one team ever to make the playoffs starting out 0-4, and that was the Chargers in '92.
It's tough sledding, to say the least. They put themselves in a hole. If you want to look at a positive side, nobody in that NFC East, minus maybe the Dallas Cowboys, is taking that position.
True.
And running with it. But 0-4, there's reasons why they're 0-4, and they've revealed themselves again today.
Manning hitting Victor Cruz, who is going to get to the 37 on that one. Cruz has had himself a nice day. It's his 9th catch, 23 yards. He's going to be up over 150 now. As time ticking down towards the 2-minute warning. Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator, coming over from the Jets.
And I think there's been so much focus on Rob Ryan, Assistant Coach of the Year. Don't sleep on this guy. Outstanding job here in Kansas City. A lot of talent. He's putting them in the right positions to make plays, doing a great job.
2-minute warning from Arrowhead Stadium. It's been a sea of red. Not such a good day for the boys in blue. Chiefs 31, Giants 7. We're coming back. Coming up, the Pepsi game break. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy, along with the scores and highlights of today's games, including that thriller in overtime, Seattle and Houston. Here it's been all Chiefs in this fourth quarter to blow this game open. Manning trying to keep it going, and has a completion to Cruz, who's had himself a big day when it's all said and done. His 10th catch. Can't say enough about Andy Reid. And John, why was he so happy and so thrilled when we talked to him on Friday?
Well, one of the things, he's back to coaching. He's back to doing what Andy Reid loves. In Philly, there was so much personnel that fell upon him, and we asked him, how's that tangibly show itself on the field? He said 8 to 10 years since he's been in off-season offensive meetings, and he calls plays. And so, as you see Tom Bahali deliver on a sack, he's had the opportunity to get back in there and coach, and it's really re-energized him. And that passion, it's contagious on this team. They're taking on his personality, and that's a good thing for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs team up 31-7. They're going to go to 4-0 for the first time since '03 when Dick Vermeil led this squad. And they're smelling it here in Kansas City. You could tell. There was an energy about this town, even about going out to dinner the other night. People were talking Chiefs all over the place. And look, it's a football town. They always have. But I don't know, John. You can kind of tell they're amped up this year.
Absolutely. There's been nothing to cheer about for a long time. There's something to cheer about now, and these fans are fired up. This team is fired up, and they all have right to be.
This team was 2-14 last year. Here's David Wilson. A little dump off on a second down, and he's get taken down at midfield with 1:16 to go here from Arrowhead. And so the Giants last week, defense got shredded. This week it's really about special teams. Yeah, the offense was sluggish. Special teams killed them in this game. Under a minute to go. Manning on a third down, just going to throw it away. Eli Manning. The Giants go back to the drawing board, facing 0-4. And now you look at this Chiefs team going forward, and you just wonder what's next for Andy Reid. I think, you know, this is in some ways legitimizes what they've done in this early season.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a big time win. They knew they were going to get the Giants' best shot. They expected it, and they came after it. It was a 4th down for Eli Manning and the New York Giants.
Fake to Wilson. Manning going far side. No one home. Incomplete. Chiefs ball. They'll take a knee and wrap this one up. And, you know, for Andy Reid, here he is. We talked about all the 14 years in Philadelphia, you know, the 5 NFC title games, the Super Bowl, all he did there. So what does he do? He comes to Kansas City and he's 4-0, and he beats the entire NFC East on his way to doing it, John.
I'm sure there's some, he's not a vindictive person, but I'm sure there's some sweetness in that for Andy Reid. And what a terrific job Big Red has done here. And he's a neat guy, and you love to have good people have success.
This should be it. The Chiefs will take a knee. Alex Smith will wrap it up. He's 4-0. And maybe more so than that for Alex Smith. He's now 24-5-1 the last 2 years. He wins.
That's the name of the game, winning. And you see how you feel when you do, and you see how you feel when you don't.
Eli Manning has won plenty in his career, but he's got a big hill to climb the rest of 2013. 31-17, the Chiefs unbeaten after knocking off the Giants. Aaron Andrews and John Lynch, I'm Kevin Burkhardt, our entire crew. Plenty more to do. We go to LA and Kurt Menefee.